Thank you for joining us for this week's message at Crosswind Church. If you have any questions about this message or about Crosswind Church, please visit us at www.crosswindchurch.net, or you can email us at info@crosswindchurch.net.
Well, good morning. My name is Jeremy, and I'm the pastor here. I'm so thankful that you have joined us for worship here this morning. If you're a guest with us, we're really glad you're here. If it's your first time here, let me just tell you where we are. We're kind of right in the middle of a conversation that we've been having for the last few weeks as we've been in this sermon series. The way we do things around here is we kind of pick a topic, and then we talk about it until we get tired of talking about it, and we pick another topic, and we move on to that. And so we're right in the middle of one of these discussions we've been having, a series called The End Commandments. And to tell you what that means, as followers of Jesus Christ, we were tasked by Jesus to teach other people those things that he had commanded us to do. The problem is that left the early church, it leaves us sometimes in a bit of a quandary. Because we have the Old Testament, we've read the Old Testament, 613 or 14 or 19 laws, or whatever it is, and we read those and we go, does that mean that I need to obey all of those? And do I need to have an operation? And all of those sorts of things in order to follow Jesus. And what the early church decided is no. They decided, no, we've uncoupled ourselves from that old system, and Jesus instituted something brand new. And he commanded us a number of things to do, but he also commanded us to not do some things. And so that's what this series is about, the end commandments, the not commandments. And the thing that the video told you is that when you hear these not commandments, one of the things that you've learned, if you've been with us for a while, is that they seem a little bit unrealistic, don't they? I mean, fear not. Like, yeah, right. Like, I'm just going to flip a switch and not be afraid anymore. Worry not. Yeah, I'm worried that I'm not going to stop worrying. That's the kind of thing. It's just so incredibly difficult and impossible to do. And yet Jesus asked the early church to do these things. And so today we get to talk about a not commandment that may be the most famous of all not commandments. Everyone knows this commandment. Whether you're a follower of Jesus or not a follower of Jesus, whether you've never stepped foot in church at all, this is a not commandment that all of us know. And it's a not commandment that all of us have probably used or had used on us at one particular time. It's a not commandment that's had songs written about it, tattoos inked about it. That not is often used by people that maybe aren't followers of Jesus Christ, and they like to take that not commandment and throw it in the face of those of us that are Christians, sometimes rightfully so. The command we're going to talk about today is this: judge not. Now, when I say that, some of you, there's kind of two reactions probably that's going to happen. One of you, in one group of you, is going to be like, yeah, he's going to tell us what the Bible really says about judgment and how I'm supposed to tell people about their sin and help them not be sinners and all that. And there's others of you that are going, yeah, I finally got going to talk about this because I feel judged. But the truth of the matter is this isn't even really a distinctly Christian issue. This is a human issue. There is something that is hardwired inside of you and inside of me to pass judgment on people. In other words, to size them up, to look at them and figure out what's wrong with them and kind of store that away in my mind. In some cases, to write them off. In other cases, to walk away, whatever it is. But throughout the history of the world, what we see is that the one group of people that is super really good at this judging thing that we all struggle with are religious people. This is not just Christians either. All religions. So the Jews in the Old Testament, the Jews in the New Testament, they were really bad at judging. Actually, they were really good at judging other people, right? Christians throughout the centuries have been really good at pointing their finger at other people and pointing out their wrongs and judging other people. Muslims, Hindus, pick the religion, they all pass judgment on someone else. That's just kind of in the nature of who they are. So it should be no surprise to you that a guy like me that grew up in church, I learned how to judge people early. I did. And it wasn't intentional. I don't think the people in my church sat out and were like, let's teach Jeremy how to judge people while he's a kid, so he'll be better at it when he's an adult. No. That's not what they did. It just kind of happens by diffusion. It just kind of oozes into you. So I can remember being a little boy all the way through high school. One of the things that we did through our church is there's a Salvation Army soup kitchen in town. They had a thrift store, and they really ministered to the homeless people in Hopkinsville. And I can remember from a little boy all the way through high school, we would go and we would serve in the soup kitchen. We would pass out hot meals. We would work for the Angel Tree at Christmas time and pack boxes and pack bags and wrap stuff for kids and those sorts of things. And the thing is kind of interesting is that when you're there and you're serving the meal, like, you don't really mean to. You're happy to do it. You're happy to serve. But you kind of look at those folks that are coming to the line, don't you? And you kind of just go, I know why you're here. See, I think you're probably a drug addict, or you don't know how to manage your money well, or you've really made some bad decisions along the way. Maybe those things are true, or maybe they're not. The truth of the matter is, I didn't know them. I don't know who they are. I'm just kind of size them up. And as I judge them, the implication was, you know what? I'm not going to be like that. I'm going to be better than you. I already am better. I think about it all the time. Like we would do this. And sometimes we would talk about people like committed certain sins, and you're like, ooh, those are bad people. You shouldn't hang out with those people. People that go to certain places, oh, those are bad places. Those are sins. You shouldn't be around them or go and do what they do. And we kind of pass judgment on them. You want to know the kind of passing judgment that really bothers me? The kind of passing judgment that bothers me is when we start judging other Christians down the street at a different church. We point the finger over at their church and go, well, they don't teach the truth. Or they don't really worship the right way. Or they don't do their children's ministry the right way. Or they don't do this. Or they have a different flavor or a different brand of Christianity. And heaven forbid we get to them because that's Come on, listen. When we fire shots at each other, I don't know that does any good to the kingdom of God. We're really good, right, at passing judgment without ever having stepped foot in their churches in a lot of cases, without ever setting foot in one of their staff meetings, without ever setting foot in one of their deacons meetings, without setting foot in any of their planning meetings. We pass judgment on the things that they do all the time. Listen, side note, this has nothing to do with what we're talking about today, but I need us to understand as a capital C church, we have a common enemy, and it's not the church down the street. We're real good at it, aren't we? And the thing is, you do it too. Come on. Let's be honest, it's hardwired in you to pass judgment on people. So when you're at the restaurant and that kid over there is acting up or screaming, or when you're at the ballpark, or you're at the park and your kids are playing, and there's one kid that's just being a little bit more rabid than the other one, there's one kid that's just a little bit unruly, there's one kid that just won't stop yelling, and you look across the way, and you see that mom, and you see that dad, and you look at them in your heart, you go, man, things would be a lot better if you parented more like me. We walk into someone's home, see a little bit of dust. Maybe it smells just a little different than our home. I don't know if they're cooking vitamins in there or what. Like, I don't know. Look, we walk in and we just draw a judgment, don't we? We see and we assume, well, listen, they would be a lot better off. They'd be a lot happier if they just took care of their home like I took care of my home. Maybe I should buy them some Febreze. We do it all. How about this one? This is one that I became so convicted of this week as I was talking about this. Once a year, we gather together as Obion County residents, right? And if you're a Weekly County resident or a Hickman County resident, you come to, and we have the big Obion County Fair. And we go to the fair, and we watch the people that run the games and put together the stuff. And what do we say about them? They're uneducated. They're unskilled. And we, without ever knowing them, don't we just size them up just a little bit? See, it's in who we are to pass judgment. And we all struggle with that. We've all done it. And here's the kicker. This is why this matters so much. Because we've all had it done to us. And when we have it done to us, and in some cases when we pass judgment in front of someone else and they've seen it, let me tell you what they do. Don't judge me. Judge not. Only God can be my judge. Tattoos say it, right? Come on. We love to throw this one out. This is not a command. But there's one little problem. That's not all Jesus said about judging. And so for our time remaining, what I want to do is I want to take just an opportunity to walk our way through Jesus' teaching on judging others. And see if there's not something that we can learn. In fact, see if we can't hit you right where you are in the position you are right now, and see if you can't apply something directly to your life. So we're going to be in the most famous message Jesus ever gave, the Sermon on the Mount. We're going to be in chapter 7 of the Gospel of Matthew. If you want to read the entire message Jesus gave, it's in chapter 5, 6, and 7 of the Gospel of Matthew. And we're going to start in chapter 7, verse 1, and read what it is that Jesus had to say about judging others. Okay, now, before you jump to the end, I need you to stick with me all the way through, okay? All right. Verse 1. Do not judge. See, it's there. It's in there. We knew it was there. We did not know where it was. We use it all the time, but there it is. Do not judge. The problem is that that's not where Jesus stopped talking. If he just said, do not judge, then we could go, okay, well, I will never judge, and we move on. But that's not what he finishes saying here. Do not judge, and then he says this, or you too will be judged. Don't size people up, because if you do, you're going to be sized up. The question I have when I read that is, judged by whom? Who's going to be the one that judges me? Because maybe that matters just a little bit. But they're going to judge me. Of course they're going to judge me. There's something bigger at play here that Jesus is getting at. Do not judge, or you too will be judged. And he's going to elaborate for us just a little bit. Look at verse 2. For, he says, in the same way you judge others, you will be judged, and with the measure you use, it will be measured to you. Now this is kind of simple, because when I was a little boy, one of the other things that I learned at home and at church was the golden rule. Right? Treat others the way you want to be treated. And so what Jesus goes at here is he says, look, all we're going to do is we're going to take the golden rule and we're going to apply it to judging. So, here's what he says in verse 2. You should judge other people the way that you want other people to judge you. Well, that's real easy. Because if I think about how I want to be judged, I want to be judged not. Don't you? And if you're going to judge me, I want you to take everything in consideration. I want you to take my history. I want you to take my past and my family. I want you to take my circumstances. I want you to take how I had a bad day. I want you to take the fact that when I ordered the large sweet tea at Sonic, it was from the bottom of the barrel and it didn't taste good. It just ruined my entire day. I want you to take everything into consideration when you judge me. Why? Because here's the thing. Watch. I'm convinced that if you knew my story, you would understand the way I act. If you knew what was going on in my life, then you would go, yeah, I get why he does that. A couple weeks ago, my wife decided that she was going to paint the cabinet doors in our house. And so she's a workhorse. She got after it. She pulled all the cabinets down, took all the hardware off, moved into the garage, and there was wood putty and sanding involved and painting and all sorts of things. And she just got to work doing it. And now I can remember one day I was gone from the house. I'm assuming I was working or doing something. And as I came home, her garage door was up and my garage door was down. And I opened my garage door and I wasn't even thinking. And I drove right in. And as I'm driving into my garage, this is the noise I hear. Boom, boom, boom. You know what I'm talking about. That noise. When you run over cabinet doors, like you know that noise? So I opened my door to my Jeep, and I looked down on the ground, and there's cabinet doors underneath the tires of my Jeep. Like right now, I'm sitting on them. And so this is when I go, well, I got to back up, right? So you put it in reverse, boom, 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 right? You know, there's no good way. And so I go into the house where my wife is probably cooking me dinner or probably cleaning my house, doing something that's productive. And I walk into the house and I kind of probably came in, I don't know, you could ask her, but I probably kind of came in with this kind of kind of arrogant kind of attitude, right? And I just kind of walked in, was like, hey, did you put the cabinet door? I didn't know. I just ran over the door, and then she's going outside like, Jody, I don't know if you husband, you know that look your wife gives you? Like, I got it. And so as she's walking out, I'm following behind her, and I'm like, I just didn't see him. I promise. If the door was shut, I didn't think there was anything there, and my Jeep kind of sit high off the ground, and so I couldn't see into the garage. And I was giving her every reason in the world why it was okay if I ran over those cabinet doors. Because here's what I know. Come on. If you don't like me, or if I've done something that's wrong with you, then before you pass judgment on me, sit down with me and talk with me. Because I'm convinced that if I can just tell you enough things, that eventually you'll see where I'm coming from and you won't be mad at me anymore. Because when you judge me, I want you to take everything into account. And isn't that how you want to be judged as well? Just think about this. Think about the last time you pulled out in front of somebody and cut them off in traffic. And they laid on their horn. And I know it's hard, right? Pulling left out of Sonic on the real Fifth Avenue at 5 o'clock. Like, I get it. But as you're doing it, and you pull out in front of them, what is it that you do? You're like, oh, we're sorry. I was sipping on my Route 44 cherry limeade, and I didn't see you, and it was kind of blocked because of the trees that are right there, and the big sign, and I didn't, sorry. Take everything into consideration. The problem is think about the last time somebody pulled out in front of you and cut you off. Did you take everything into consideration? No, you didn't. Jesus says, all I want you to think about is before you pass judgment, I want you to judge the way that you would want to be judged. You want to be judged fairly with everything taken into consideration. He goes on. He elaborates just a little bit more for us. Let's look at verse 3 and see what he has to say. He says this, why do you look at the speck of sawdust in your brother's eye? Aha! He said it. There is something wrong with you. There's a speck in your eye. And I can imagine Jesus going, hey, we get it. There is a speck. But here's the bigger question in the first half of verse 3. Why does the speck in your brother's eye cause you to formulate an opinion about him? This is big. Why does the speck in your brother's eye matter so much to you? So I was thinking through that. So I was researching that and listening to other pastors who talked about this. That I was reminded of a young man that used to come. He was in high school. He used to come and sit down in my office every Wednesday before church, just kind of share what was going on in his life. Share what was going on in student ministry, in school. He was a senior at the time, and he was a part of our leadership team for our student ministry. And he would come in every week and he would just lament, just be so upset about the sin of the people that are in the student ministry. And he would tell me, man, these people last Saturday night were out drinking. These people, this couple, they're sleeping together. I don't know what to do, Jim. What did I do? After a few months of this, and after praying with him for these students and listening to him talk about the students, I realized there was one particular girl that kept coming up in his conversations. He was a girl that he kind of had a crush on. He had asked out once, and she had said no. Now she was with this other guy, and they were involved with each other, maybe a little bit physically, and it really kind of bothered him. And he said something one day, and it finally dawned on me. The reason that the speck in her eye bothers you so much, and the reason that the speck in their eye bothers you so much, is because you're just a little bit jealous of it. You wish it was you. Right? I mean, come on. Maybe one of the reasons as Christians that the speck in other people's eyes bother us so much is because we're resentful that we can't do it. But listen to me. Ladies, is the reason why you're upset that she wore that dress because you can't wear that dress? Is the reason, guys, you're upset that he bought that new shotgun because you can't buy that new shotgun? Come on. Here's what we know. This is the truth. Sin, when you do it right, it's fun. Craig Groeschel says it this way, the pastor of Life Church, Life.Church, LifeChurch.tv, I don't know what they're called now, but Craig Groeschel, the guy whose church did the Bible app that you're using on your phone today, that guy, he actually said, he's like, listen, if sin isn't fun, you're not doing it right. It's just true. We know that, right? And so when we, as followers of Jesus, who are trying to live an obedient life, see other people living disobedient lives and having fun, if we're just honest, there's something inside of us that kind of goes, ah! And we just want them to get theirs. In fact, some of you are a little too excited about the fact that there is a hell. You're just a little too excited that the fact that one day there has been eternal damnation because of their sin. You're excited about it. Let's tell you something. Listen, the Bible says that that's you. You're not loving the way that Christ would love us. You are wanting them to be obedient because you think that they need to be gotten for their sin. That's not why Christ calls us to obedience. You remember, sin not? It's because he knows that our sin will ultimately destroy us. Listen, if your heart doesn't break for the sin of other people because that sin is going to destroy them, then perhaps your heart hasn't been broken over your sin. The other reason why I think a lot of times the speck bothers us is because we are completely oblivious to our own sin. We're completely oblivious to those things that are kind of going on in our own life. In fact, Jesus is going to kind of point that out. And why do you focus on the speck of sawdust in your brother's eye when you have what? A plank in your own eye. Now here's the question. What plank? Because one of the most difficult places to see sin is in the mirror. Jesus. The reason why you need to stop focusing and judging on other people so soon is because you yourself have got to become aware, self-aware of your own sinfulness. And until you do, you need to mind your own business and judge not. The next phrase, he says this. Well, let me read the rest of it. Sorry, before I jump to verse 5. Get to play myself. Verse 4. How can you say to your brother, let me take the speck out of your eye, when all the time there is a plank in your own eye? Verse 5. You hypocrite. A hypocrite is someone that doesn't look in the mirror. In fact, I think that may be one of the things that Jesus is trying to get us to do as He's walking us through this. He's wanting us to recognize when we see sin in other people, it is more than likely a reflection of something that is in us. In fact, the question that I want you to ask yourself as we move through the rest of this message is this. What is it in me that causes me to want to formulate an opinion about them? What is it in me? Because it may be that the very sin you see in their life is just a reflection of what it is that you have in your own life. And he says, you hypocrite. A hypocrite is someone that doesn't do that. A hypocrite is someone that calls out somebody when you yourself are struggling with the very same thing. Listen, we know that most of the non-Christian world, those people that are not followers of Jesus, have written the church off as hypocrites. The reason is not because they don't recognize the speck in their eye. They know it's there. The reason is because we refuse to deal with the planks in our own eye. As Christians, we've got to take a hard look in the mirror. And when I'm tempted to judge, I need to ask myself, what is it in me that causes me to want to formulate an opinion about it? What is it in me that causes me to want to formulate an opinion about you? You hypocrite. And then he gives us some steps. You hypocrite. He says this. First, take the plank out of your own eye. In other words, first, deal with your own sin. Be honest about where you are. Be honest about where you're struggling. Be honest about what it is in you that makes you want to formulate an opinion and pass judgment on someone else. Let's recognize it. Let's deal with it. Let's be honest about the addiction. Let's be honest about the misuse of funds. Let's be honest about the state of your relationship. Let's be honest about the way that you parent. Let's be honest about all of those things that you know are in your life. Let's be honest about it. Now, here's the thing. Jesus could have stopped right here and moved on to the next topic. And the message would have looked something like this. Don't judge. Deal with your own self. Mind your own business. Deal with your own self. And then we could be done and walk away. Pass the plates and go home. But here's the thing. In fact, if you're not a follower of Jesus Christ, this is such good news. Right here it is. Following Jesus never ends with what's in it for me. Love that. Following Jesus never ends with what's in it for me. Following Jesus is about taking what I've learned and learning how to benefit the lives of other people that are around me. What is that God has done with me? And now how can I go and spread that to other people? And that's what Jesus does here. He says, you hypocrite, first take the plank out of your own eye, and then, there's an and then. He doesn't finish talking when he says take the plank out of your own eye, and then you can see clearly to remove the speck of sawdust from your brother's eye. Jesus says, look, it's not that I don't want you to ever judge. It's not that I don't want you to ever call out sin. Of course I do. Of course I do. I want you to hold each other accountable. I want you to help make each other better, more like me. Like that's That's what I want for you. But before you do, you better take a long, hard look in the mirror, and you better deal with your own sin. And once you deal with your own sin, then you are uniquely positioned to help your brother and sister deal with theirs. See, Jesus would gather his disciples just before he would go to the cross. And he would say these words. He would say, listen, a new commandment I give you. Love one another. As I have loved you, so you must love one another. By this will the world know that you're my disciples, by the way that you love one another. You see, love requires more of us than just sizing someone up and walking away. Sizing someone up and then ignoring the problems in their life. Love requires more of us. Love requires us to look at our brother and sister in Christ and go, hey man, we need to talk about this. We need to draw attention to this. Here's the key. Jesus calls us into obedience. Not because if we're sinful, God's going to smite us. That's not it. It's because if we're sinful, our sin will ultimately destroy us. We talked about this a few weeks ago. And so what this means is that when I go to someone and I go, let's talk about this issue in your life. Let's talk about this place where we run off the rails, where things have gone badly. And by the way, I've dealt with the very same thing. So I'm uniquely positioned to be able to help you work my way through this. What I'm doing is I'm trying to help you in such a way, not because I want to make myself feel better than you, not because I want to lower you to a position of inferiority to me. I'm doing it because I know that if you continue living this lifestyle, it will destroy you. Because that's what sin does. Love requires that of us. That is not judgmental. That is love. That's not judgmental. That's love. I can understand the pushback, right? Because there's some of us that are so oblivious to our sin that there are points in your eye you can't even see. You're so self-righteous that you don't even recognize. And immediately your thoughts go to, who can I go talk to? Well, Jeremy just told me, and Jesus just said that I can go and I can confront sin in other people. Let me tell you something. Not until you've looked in the mirror, not until you've dealt with your sin, and not until, here's the key, you've earned the right. It's the person that you're doing life with. It's the person that you're in group with. It's the person that trusts you. That's the person you need to go to. That's the person you need to talk to about their sin. So here's what Jesus says. When you're tempted to judge, first, take a long, hard look in the mirror. Ask yourself the question, what is it in me that's causing me to formulate an opinion about them? Is it jealousy? Is it because I want them to be gotten or found out because of their sin? Is there something in me that's a reflection of that? And deal with your own sin. Deal with your own position. But once you have removed that plank, once you have, now you can see clearly to look at your brother, your sister in the face, and in love say to them, we need to talk. Have a conversation. So how do we really go about applying this? Like if this is what Jesus really said, it's so much bigger than just don't judge. So much more involved than just don't judge me. What does that do? I was listening to Pastor speak on this last week, and I think to a large degree he's right. He said, listen, there's 3 places that this can hit people, and each 3 have different applications. And so I just want to walk through those real quickly. The first group are those of you that feel the need to go and kind of point out the sin of other people. You want to do it all the time. And you don't ever want to actually take a look in the mirror and deal with your own stuff. Scripture says you are a hypocrite. In a lot of ways, you are self-righteous. And Jesus despises the self-righteous. It's this ability that you need to be able to look in the mirror and say, God, what is it in me that causes me to formulate an opinion about them? And then deal with that. If that's you, if you're that person today that gets just a little too bit excited about hell and people going there, You need to, big Bible word, repent. Say you're sorry. Ask God to reveal to you those things in your life that you need to deal with. Help Him to reveal to you those sins that you need to deal with. Second group of people we're talking about. There are individuals that maybe have dealt with that sin, and you're on the other side of it. You've moved through the addiction. You've moved through the financial trouble. You've moved through whatever it may be, and now you're on the other side, and you're uniquely positioned to help someone who's on the other side of that, and you size somebody up, you pass judgment on them, and then you go, that's none of my business. So I'm just going to walk away. That's none of my business, so I'm going to size them up, and then I'm going to walk away. If that's you, your application is you need to go have a conversation with somebody. And the thing is, that group I'm talking about. The thing is as I'm talking about it, you already know who it is. It's a family member. It's a good friend. It's a parent, a child, a spouse. You put it off, and you put it off, and you put it off, and you watch their sin begin to destroy them and erode away their life. That is not loving. That is not Jesus commanded us to do. Some of you guys need to go have a conversation. Lastly, you're the individuals that someone has come to and they have tried to have a conversation with. You're the individual that someone has come and said, hey, can we talk about this? Hey, can we deal with this? Hey, I see this and I'm concerned about you. And you were real quick to throw out Matthew chapter 7, verse 1, even though you didn't know that's where it was found in the Bible. You were real quick to throw out, don't you judge me. Don't you pass judgment on me. But what that person's doing, it's not judgmental, it's loving. What they're doing is they're coming to you from a position of love, and they're going, I cannot stand by and watch your sin destroy you. So can we help? Can we do something? Can we talk about it? Can I intervene? You pass it off as judgmental. If that's you, and you're here today, can I tell you, your application is this. Maybe you need to listen. Maybe you need to pay attention. And someone comes to you and they confront you, and you feel all of that tension and all of that anxiety, all of that frustration inside of you, and all of that, how dare you pass judgment on me. I just want you to pause just for a second and go, is there any truth to that? Hey, is what they're saying, could that be true? Could they not be being judgmental? But could they, in fact, be loving? Yeah. If you're here today, you love to judge me. I'm not saying like you out loud do it, but just as you're walking around, you see people and you size them up, and you either write them off or you walk away, whatever. If that's you, I encourage you to ask this question: what is it in me that causes me to formulate an opinion about them? And ask God to reveal to me what it is that I need to deal with and repent of my attitude. If you're here today and you're one that you know you're on the other side and you're uniquely positioned to help, and you're afraid of the confrontation, and you're afraid of what might happen, and you're afraid of saying something, do the loving thing and have a conversation. And if you're here today and you're the individual who has said, you know what, I'm the one that people are coming to, and I'm the one that people are saying something about, and I'm the one that has the habit or whatever that people are concerned about, and I just pass it off as judgmental, would you be willing just to pause and pay attention? At Crosswind, we always kind of ask this question. We always kind of say, okay, when we teach the Bible and we come to the point of response, like when we come to what is it that we do, we always want that to be reflective of what it is that the Scripture has taught. And most Sundays, more often than not, Matt comes up and he plays a song, or the band comes up and they play a song. But we're not going to do that today. And the reason we're not going to do that is this. Your application is threefold, depending on where you are. It's repent, have a conversation, or listen. And the thing is, you don't have to sing a song to do any of those. You just have to go and put one foot in front of the other and do it. So as we conclude today, I'm going to pray for us. And I'm going to pray very specifically. In fact, I'm going to pray a prayer that I would encourage you to continue to pray for yourself as we move forward in this not command, judge not. And it's this, that God would give us the wisdom to see what needs to be changed in our lives. And that God would give us the courage to take whatever steps need to be taken. That He would give us the wisdom to know, and the courage to do. So we pray that with me as we conclude today. God, thank you so much for your word. Thank you for what it means to me and to all of us that are here. And God, it's so easy for us to take this passage and to take it out of context and to read just the parts of it that we want to read. It's so easy for us to go, judge not, mind your own business, and I'm going to mind my own business, and you take care of you and yours, and I'll take care of me and mine. But God, that's not all that you've taught us. And so in this room right now, we know that this Bible passage hits us all in different places. There are some of us that have felt judged. And maybe we've been judged rightly, maybe we've been judged incorrectly. It doesn't really matter, God. I pray that you would give us the wisdom to recognize the difference. And then give us the courage to listen. Give us the courage to listen and to pay attention. Give us the courage to walk forward and go, you know what? I see that what they're doing is loving. I see that they're trying to be beneficial. I see that they're trying to help me. I see that they're worried that my sin might ultimately destroy my life. And I'm going to do everything I can. God, give us the wisdom and the courage to recognize. God, for those of us that have maybe come on the other side, we've removed the plank. We've dealt with a particular sin in our life, and now we're uniquely positioned to be able to help others. But for whatever reason, we're scared. We're scared of confrontation. We're scared of broken relationships. We're scared of how that person might respond. And we're sitting back, God, and we're watching people's lives destroyed by sin. God, I pray that for those people, you would give them the wisdom to recognize when to speak up. And give them the courage to have those difficult conversations. God, we're talking about conversations with family members, teammates, classmates. We're talking about conversations with parents and with children and with siblings and spouses. God, we're talking about difficult conversations. We need the courage to step forward and to apply what it is that you have taught us in this Bible text today. God, for those of us that maybe are just a little bit like me, judging just comes just a little bit too easy. It's just hardwired into who we are. It's very natural. For whatever reason that is, God, I come to you today and I'm sorry. Please forgive me. Help me, God, to recognize the sin that is in my own life before I start dealing with the sin that it is. God, help me to look hard in the mirror and ask the question, what is it in me that causes me to formulate an opinion about them? And then help me do it. God, give me the wisdom to recognize it. Because the most difficult place to see sin is in the mirror. Give me the wisdom to recognize it. And then, God, give me the courage to do whatever it is I have to do to remove the plank. Because, God, my life will be better and the lives of people around me will be better when my plank is gone. So help me deal with that. All of us that are in this room, and those that maybe don't fall into any of those categories, grant us the wisdom to know the right things to do. Grant us the courage to do them, no matter what that cost may be. God, we love you. Trust you. We ask for the empowerment of the Holy Spirit to praise you in Jesus' name. Amen. Thank you.